November 24th, 2025, Japan's fighters scramble as a Chinese military drone cuts through the airspace just 110 kilometers from Taiwan, brushing the edge of Yonaguni. This tiny island commands the critical Miyako Strait, and its skies have become the front line in the world's most dangerous power contest. Why did a single surveillance flight trigger a surge in defenses? And what really happens when one false move could ignite a regional war? Fighter jets from Japan's Southwest Air Defense Force took to the skies over the Yonaguni to Taiwan corridor, tracking a high-altitude unmanned aircraft as it threaded the narrow gap between Yonaguni Island and Taiwan. The Ministry of Defense reported that the drone, believed to be Chinese, passed through this critical airspace just 110 kilometers from Taiwan's shoreline. Yonaguni, Japan's westernmost point, sits directly on the edge of the first island chain. The first island chain is a geographic arc that stretches from the Japanese mainland through Okinawa and past Taiwan, forming a natural barrier between the East China Sea and the wider Pacific. The island's position is more than symbolic. It anchors Japan's surveillance net at the southwestern tip of the Nansei chain, controlling access to the Miyako Strait. This deep water passage is one of the few routes available for Chinese naval and air forces to move between the East China Sea and open Pacific waters. Every approach through the corridor is tracked, cataloged, and when necessary, met with a rapid scramble from air bases like Naha, home to the F-15J fighters that stand alert around the clock. On November 24th, the detection of the drone triggered standard air defense identification zone protocols. Radar operators monitored its course as it skirted the 12 nautical mile territorial boundary, never crossing into Japanese airspace but flying close enough to prompt an immediate response. The scramble was not only a technical exercise but a demonstration of operational readiness. A clear signal that the skies above Yonaguni are under constant watch. The incident played out against a backdrop of rising tensions, with political leaders in Tokyo and Beijing trading statements about military deployments and regional stability. For the men and women directing the scramble, the calculations were precise: track, intercept, and observe, all within a corridor where geography and policy collide. In 2016, Japan established Camp Yonaguni on the island's southern coast, assigning around 160 Japan Ground Self-Defense Force personnel to form a permanent coastal surveillance unit. The arrival of these troops introduced a new reality for Yonaguni, a community of about 1,695 residents. With the addition of service members and their families, nearly 1 in 5 islanders now belong to the Japan Self-Defense Force, transforming the local demographic balance and daily rhythms of life. The camp's mission centers on around-the-clock observation of the waters and airspace facing Taiwan, with personnel operating advanced radar and communication systems to track movements across the western approaches. This was the first time since World War II that Japan stationed a uniformed unit so close to Taiwan. The move followed years of debate in Tokyo over how to respond to China's expanding military presence in the region. Official statements from the Ministry of Defense described the deployment as a measure to strengthen early warning and reinforce the country's southwestern perimeter. The base's activation also brought new infrastructure and economic activity, and it sparked local discussion about the risks of becoming a front line in any future conflict. By 2023, the buildup extended further down the island chain. Japan deployed Type 12 Surface to ship missile units to Ishigaki Island, also part of Okinawa Prefecture. The Type 12 system, designed for coastal defense, allows land-based forces to target hostile ships approaching key sea lanes. This deployment marked the first time advanced anti-ship missiles were stationed in the southern Nansei Islands, adding a new layer to Japan's regional defense posture. With these steps, the Southwest Archipelago shifted from a lightly defended periphery to an active component of national security planning. Fiscal year 2024 brought a measurable surge in air defense operations across Japan's southwestern skies. The Ministry of Defense logged 704 fighter scrambles nationwide, with nearly 2/3, 464 in total, triggered by Chinese aircraft approaching Japanese airspace. The Southwest Air Defense Force, responsible for Okinawa, the Nansei Islands, and the Yonaguni to Taiwan corridor, recorded 411 scrambles. That figure stands as the highest among Japan's 4 regional air commands, reflecting a sustained concentration of activity near the Taiwan approaches and the East China Sea. The tempo of unmanned intrusions reached new territory. Japanese Air Self-Defense Force units responded to 30 Chinese drone incursions over the same 12-month period. That is more than 7 times the number of drone scrambles recorded just 3 years earlier, when only 4 such incidents were logged in fiscal year 2021. In fact, the single-year total for 2024 surpassed the combined tally of the previous decade, 26 drone scrambles from fiscal years 2013 to 2023. These figures, published in Joint Staff Office statistical tables and the Defense White Paper, chart a clear escalation in both the frequency and complexity of airspace challenges. The numbers are not abstract. Each scramble draws on pilots, radar operators, and maintenance crews, all working to maintain a continuous shield over the non-say chain. The data confirms what radar screens and alert rosters have already made clear. Japan's southwestern sector is now the most active front in the country's air defense mission. Chinese military planners have invested heavily in unmanned aerial vehicles designed for extended operations over contested seas. Among the most frequently identified models near Yonaguni are BZK-005, TB-001 twin-tailed Scorpion, and GJ-2, also known as Wing Lung 2. Each brings a distinct set of capabilities to the table. The BZK-005 is a reconnaissance drone with a documented endurance of around 40 hours, allowing it to remain on station for nearly 2 days without refueling. The TB-001 is a reconnaissance and strike platform with a range of approximately 3,700 miles, enough to cover the entire East China Sea and much of the Philippine Sea from bases in eastern China. The GJ-2, first publicly acknowledged in Japanese intercept reports in early 2025, is capable of both intelligence gathering and precision strikes, and has become a regular presence near the Nansei Islands. In response, Japan is deploying the Type 03 Chusam medium-range surface-to-air missile system to Yonaguni. Developed by Mitsubishi Electric, Chusam batteries are mounted on 8x8 high-mobility trucks, each launcher carrying 6 canisterized missiles. The system's range extends to roughly 50 kilometers, and its missiles travel at speeds up to Mach 2.5. A multifunction AESA radar enables Chusam crews to track up to 100 targets and engage 12 simultaneously, providing a dense shield against both manned and unmanned threats. Integration with Japan's broader air defense network allows the Yonaguni battery to receive targeting data from ground-based radars, E-767 early warning aircraft, and allied sensors, ensuring that intercepts can be coordinated across the entire southwestern arc. For the missile unit engineer stationed on Yonaguni, every alert is a test of the system's ability to intercept and neutralize drones before they can collect sensitive data or threaten the island's security. Detection of unidentified aircraft over the Nansei Islands relies on a tightly integrated command network. The Japan Aerospace Defense Ground Environment, JADG, links ground-based radars, E-767 airborne early warning aircraft, and US sensors, creating a single air defense picture that covers the southwestern approaches. When radar operators track a potential threat, the system transmits data in near real time to command posts, which then authorize scrambles or surface-to-air missile readiness. Legal authority for these actions comes from Japan's 2015 security legislation, which permits self-defense force operations in what the law defines as survival-threatening situations. Under this framework, 3 conditions must be met: a clear danger to Japan's survival, no other means to address the threat, and use of force limited to what is necessary. In November 2025, Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi underscored that a crisis impacting Taiwan could meet these criteria. Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi, during his Yonaguni visit on November 23, 2025, confirmed that missile deployment plans are steadily progressing. China's foreign ministry responded by calling Japan's moves a deliberate attempt to provoke confrontation. On Yonaguni, air defense is not a single line, but a layered shield. The Type 03 Chusam battery adds medium-range coverage, while Patriot PAC-3 units across Okinawa Prefecture are positioned for point defense against incoming missiles. Offshore, Aegis-equipped destroyers patrol with long-range sensors and interceptors. Together, these systems form an overlapping network that links ground radars, airborne early warning aircraft, and U.S. surveillance assets. Yonaguni's population stands at about 1,695 residents. Since Camp Yonaguni opened in 2016, roughly 1 in 5 residents is now a self-defense force member or family. These figures, published in the Japan Defense White Paper and local town office records, reveal how national security policy is now part of daily life for the island community. Today, Yonaguni's 1,695 residents live beneath overlapping missile shields as Japan logs record scrambles against Chinese aircraft. Every drone crossing the strait now tests the boundaries of peace. The front line has moved, and its consequences reach far beyond these small islands. What happens next is still unwritten.